Welcome to the 27th of May meeting of Te Puna Korero. I don't need to I am reminding you about microphones and use of microphones, just so that I think we're getting pretty familiar. So let's start with the first item on the agenda, apologies, of which there are none. We're all here. Item 2 is public forum, and we've had no requests for anyone to speak in the public forum. Otherwise, they'd be frozen out. And are there any conflicts of interest to declare? No. In that case, we'll move on to the fact that there are no notifications of extraordinary business. And so to confirmation of minutes of the Tuponic Korero hearings meeting of the 12th of May. I'd like to move that that's a true and correct record. That's pretty hefty stuff there. Is anyone? It's seconded by Councillor Sauli. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments, corrections, whatever? Mike, I'm looking at you. Yeah. So, in that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. So that brings us to the single item on our agenda, which is the naming of transmission gully link roads at Whitby and Waitangi. Daryl, yes, we'll ask you. I'll take it that you've all read the paper and understand what we are being asked to do in terms of the two names that are coming up. I'm sure there'll be a number of questions. So, Daryl, could you just run us through? Oh, yeah, I'm moving it to get it on the table, sorry, and seconded by the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Ford. Oh, Izzy. Yes, sorry. Right, Izzy. Sorry. Daryl, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. As you know, Transmission Gully's been around for a while now, and our link roads have been underway since about 2015. They've always been referred to in our contract documents and anecdotally as the Whitby and Waitangi link roads respectively. What we had to go through is a process of actually formally naming them, and could have done this sooner, but what we went through is found the policy that we followed through, and effectively, in a nutshell, what the policy says is if it follows the naming convention, then it's a delegation to the Chief Executive, and if it doesn't follow the naming convention for that suburb, then we bring it to Council after we've been through a nominated consultation process with the appropriate interested parties. So that's what we've done recently. There were Whitby link road, so we spoke to Ngāti Tawa, and Taku came back and advised us what the proposed name was, or both names were, and because we believe it fits with the naming policy for Whitby, that can go directly up to the Chief Executive. But for Waitangi Link Road, we couldn't find any reference to a union steamship called Waitangi or any reference to that, so we believe it has to come to Council for the naming of the Whitby Link Road, Waitangi Link Road, sorry.
Okay, now thank you for that, Daryl. Maybe Taku, you could talk us through this a little bit in terms of your considerations.
I guess the missing factor in this Korero is Link Road. We called that area Waitangi. There's no doubt about that. And because the turn-off to come up onto that new road beside the marae there, it all encompasses Waitangi. But I think the issue here is finding the history around a ship, or there's no ship connected or no vessel connected to that area. It's named after an incident that happened to our people in terms of the death of a couple of children, and the two streams that flow through there were named after them when they passed. Waitangi, there's two crying waters, and so that's the history in terms of our knowledge, and we wanted to keep it as that I mean, we couldn't add to those two streams, Waitangi linked streams. We just wanted it Waitangi per se. That's all we were pursuing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Waitangi is actually a racehorse and would fit well with Ascot Park.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess, it's probably important for us to, expand on the process that leads to this, especially in terms of the interface between council and Ngāti Toa. Can you give some commentary as to what that process entails? Is it an email? Is it a phone call? And I note your comment before that this has been a relatively recent process. Can you give some time frames so that I can get in my head when these things were happening in regards to this decision? Kia ora.
Sure. So it was only been about 6 months ago when we realised we really need to get this process underway and have it named before, well, actually probably more than 6 months, because the original completion date was earlier this year. So it was about 6 months before that. And so to be honest, we didn't know the policy at first. We went and found the policy, allocated it out, and it would probably be in the order of 3 months ago, I think, we communicated with Taku, predominantly by email and a couple of phone calls. And we went back and looped back because we asked the question actually when Kapahu came out, was it something on the end of it, e.g. road or link? And we sought clarification, and Taku come back and clarify that it was te in front of it for the compass interpretation. So that was the process we went through and the communication. Then more recently, when we had that, we contacted Greater Wellington Regional Council. They gave their support immediately. And then we went through the village planning team for contacts. We went to the Waitangi, the people that made up the Waitangi Residents Association, and went to them, sent out a communication individually, and we followed them up 3 times.
Okay.
With regards to Waitangi Link Road, was there a korero also held with Ngāti Toa as to whether or not the words Link Road should also be included in the wording from their recommendation?
Not specifically.
So your point, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't have any other questions, but I guess, a week ago we put up, a motion to support Māori wards, and I said at that meeting that I would advocate for more inclusive process of co-design. I guess I am concerned by the time frame that isn't, this has been a project that we have known has been coming up for some time. I have no case to make with the thoroughness of the report here. I think it actually has detailed a great deal of work in this, and I have no case to make about individual staffers or Ngāti Toa's process on this. It perturbs me that this was done relatively late in the piece, and also whether or not there's any guidance being provided by Porirua City Council in a very sensitive way to ensure that the kupu of our roads is sitting, with the wording in te reo, and not merely just having adjuncts of, Pākehā words on top of it that may confuse or muddle the meaning of that of those places. It may also be, on reflection, perhaps an opportunity for us to look at the naming policy. If Waitangi, and there are many streets in Waitangi that are named after Union Steamship Company ships. And I know this because I was up at 1 o'clock this morning, not to look at a red moon, but to look at a list of all the ships of the Union Steamship Company. And I would only reflect that there is one name on there that if Waitangi was not a suitable name, we could have named it Rangatira, which would have also been a good dovetailing into the kupu of the group that holds mana whenua here.
Thank you, Councillor Hayward.
Just one more.
Yes,
One more
Taku, go on.
associated question. I mean, the question of confusion in regards to health and safety for fire services or ambulances it could be quite broad. So I'll just put that on the table as well.
the Chief Executive would like to make a comment.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that our naming policy is quite old, and we have got it scheduled for reconsideration. You'd have to say it's not a super high priority, but as we are getting more suburbs and more growth in the city, we are having more roads to name. So it is a bit of a time for a refresh, both around those themes and around the process that we undertake. So we have got it on our work program. Not high on our work program, but we will, I'd envisage that it would come to you over the next 12 months. So I think that's an opportunity for us to work with Ngāti Toa, to work with you, because frankly, we're going to run out of Union steamships to name things after.
They've sunk.
And I think some of those themes are definitely of our time. And it's not that we're going to go around and change all the themes because we've got roads named after these things, but we do need to rethink it and modernise it, and certainly rethink the process of it.
Okay. Along your lines, Taku, can I just ask a question? When you're driving along Transmission Gully, what are the signposts, the signpost going either way, going to say at the Waitangi interchange? What will be on there?
I believe it'll be pointing to Waitangi.
What about Whitby?
Yeah, I haven't seen the final ones because it's a NZTA project. So in terms of our name blades, we'll just have our names on our street blade names. But on the actual interchange, if you're driving along to Transmission Gate, I believe it just refers to Waitangi. I'm not sure if they've got enough space to have Ann Whitby on it, but I can check that.
So they're not going to have Whitby?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, so I can check that.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, given that, and due deference to our mana whenua, this interchange is commonly known in the north as the James Cook interchange, and we're proposing to make it the Waitangi interchange. And at the same time, which is the question that I ask of you, Taku, is you didn't want Link Road on Waitangi. My question was, why would we not, for clarity's sake, add Link Road to Te Kapehu? Sorry, I mean, I'm just looking at it to make it clear that they're both link roads, right? The Waitangi is the main link road, all right, because Te Kapehu comes off Waitangi link road, but it is also a link road to the Whitby area. Yeah. Yeah, it comes in, and you go from Whitby and you make a left to go onto the Waitangi link road to get onto the Transmission Gully.
Yeah.
Whichever way you want to go. Sorry, you were...
To answer your first question, I'm out to site straight after this meeting, so I will get it confirmed what the signage on TG will be.
Yes.
Can I just ask you to make sure they actually put that word? It's a bit like when you go up to Waikanai. You don't know where you come off to Waikanai because you almost miss it. Whitby's one of the largest suburbs and will be one of the busiest roads.
Second largest suburb in Wellington.
It's not helpful if they're not going to put that on our main state highway.
Yeah.
I just want that recorded.
And I'll come back with that.
Oh, and the second question is, then that begs the question, how would somebody know when they go off at the Waitangi interchange onto the Waitangi link road and they want to go to Whitby and the turn-off says Te Kapehu? So these are practicalities, Taku, that, I mean, I actually would like, I believe until we get these things answered, that we should put off this decision, because I don't want to tie ourselves into something that we have to backpedal on. We need to take mana whenua thoughts into consideration, which we thought we'd already done, but it does beg these practical questions of what does it mean for people when they're driving. I guess these things will be lost over time. It won't matter, but people need to know they're going to Whitby.
I think we can tidy it up. I think we sit down and tidy it up, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So time frame? Yeah. When? How long?
So can I just say there's a difference between what the road is named and what the suburb is named, and what the signage is for each of those
That's
things.
true.
So let's get some clarity. So somebody else. Shall we withdraw the paper? Shall we withdraw the paper until we've got that sorted? So I think we can probably sort it relatively quickly, Daryl. And we'll loop Ngāti Toa into that discussion so that we've got clarity around the suburb signposting and the road signposting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to come to the next.
Question?
No. Okay. Okay. So maybe we could just adjourn for a second while we have a. Oh, do you want to make another?
Ask a question.
Yep.
What power have we got to demand that Whitby goes on the sign on Transmission Gully?
Demand is perhaps not the word I would use, but I do recall when I first started here, we were concerned that Aotea wasn't signposted. So, and we did succeed in getting that sign posted off the existing State Highway 1. So they are amenable to these things. So we just have to work with them, I think. Okay. So I think I'm assuming it'll be fine.
Councillor Ford.
Just a quick question. We're not saying to rename Whitby Te Kapehu. We're saying Te Kapehu is the name of that interchange.
Yes.
There's no reason why down the
name of the
motorway
street.
or the highway you could say Whitby the next turn off, and that still remain Te Kapehu. Is that correct? Because I feel like we're trying to make something a whole lot more.
Look, so can I? We've had the discussion, and what we're saying is I'm going to move that we adjourn this item to the TPK meeting on the 25th of June, and by which stage we can have a chance to have a chat about it and think about all the nuances and issues that might be involved. Because you're right, Councillor Ford, we're not questioning naming of the roads necessarily, we're just questioning how information gets to people, basically. All right, so I'm going to move it. Do I have a seconder, please? Yep, Councillor Duncan. All those in favour? Carried. I'm now going to move, that finishes this part of the Te Puna Korero. We're now going to move into